what is your takeaway? What was the most significant piece of news that you take away from the few days that you were there in Jacksonville?
I would say probably some of the insights we got from Mike Norvell talking about the football team, some of it on the record, some of it off the record. I wrote a story yesterday about Ashton Daniels. This was the first time that we've gotten to talk to Norvell about the decision to go with Ashton Daniels as a starting quarterback. And I thought he was very, a lot of conviction. It was not he basically said it was not a question. There was not a question at the end of spring camp of who the quarterback was going to be. He said it should have been apparent to anybody at practice. It should have been apparent to all the players that Ashton had separated himself. And he said in the last scrimmage they had, Ashton threw, 3 or 4 really beautiful balls down the field. Just couldn't have placed it any better. Made, some really good decisions. Just, basically said that he's better than they expected. And they thought he could be a good quarterback, but he was better than they expected in the spring. So that's something I didn't know before I came here. A lot of the other stuff was, maybe reiterating things we already knew. Like I think we knew the ACC was probably going to push for more teams in the playoff than less. So that wasn't a big shock, even though that was kind of one of the big stories. But I whether or not you believe Mike Norvell knows what he sees in a quarterback, that's up for everybody else to decide. But I definitely came away understanding that he is very confident in Ashton Daniels.
Oh, that was a great that was a great build-up, buddy. Yeah. So do you believe him when he said that it was that one-sided, the battle between him and Sperry?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I really do. I think he, we were hearing different things during camp, but part of that is, and I'm always reminded of this, that, a lot of times there are people at practice watching a practice, like when we were able to watch practice, that you don't always know what the call is. You don't know what the coaches are looking for on certain plays. And so, I think there were times maybe Sperry had good days, but maybe the reads weren't exactly what they're supposed to be. We just don't know that. But it was pretty clear that there was plenty of separation. This was not a tie goes to the runner and Ashton Daniels is the more experienced guy. This was a case of he clearly outplayed him. Now, having said that, Norvell also said repeatedly, both on and off the record, that, he thinks he's really excited about Sperry down the road, and he's also excited about Malachi Marshall. But Ashton Daniels, according to him, had a really, really good spring.
Observationally, how would you gauge Mike Norvell's spirits and overall attitude, mentality, all of it? Where do you think his headspace is at?
Yeah, I thought he was in a good space. And that's something I've been trying to figure out. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out. He's been through, after what he's been through these last 2 years, does he still have the same confidence? Does he still believe in himself? And I thought there were a couple of moments that were pretty telling. One of them was, a reporter asked him about taking back over play calling, and he kind of fired back with, "Well, I'm good at it," and kind of was not defensive, but just very, matter of fact that I believe in myself as a play caller. And he said, if I didn't believe myself as a play caller, I would get somebody else to do it. And so I thought from that standpoint, also, talking to him about some of the different things on this team, he's pretty confident about this football team. Now, again, it's fair to point out that he was excited about the team last year too. So, we'll see whether or not it means anything. But in terms of where he is, it's not a matter of, him looking like this is, you certainly use the phrase dead man walking.
All the time, buddy. All the time.
You don't get that vibe from him. Again, now, I don't know if he's capable of having that feeling. He's just an optimistic guy. He's always going to believe in the players. He's going to believe in the guys he coaches. And that's certainly the case against this year. So, no, there's no sign that he's not confident about this group.
What were your takeaways from the athletic director? What did Michael Alford say or do, or anything that you observed that stuck with you, if anything?
Yeah, and Alford was only there for part of the meetings. He was there for about one day, and they arrived, Monday morning. They started really meeting Monday afternoon. They met all day Tuesday, and then they met this morning. Michael Alford actually left midway through Tuesday because he had to go be part of the baseball selection committee. So he wasn't. So he was kind of like rushing to kind of get in on all the things he had to get in on before he left. But when we talked to him, he, mostly we talked to him about the college football playoff, the idea of trying to go to 24 teams and why that's important. He really didn't get into much of, it was kind of an abbreviated version. So not a whole lot of insight from Michael Alford other than, he was the first one really to speak to us about the fact that they really the ACC wants to go to 24 teams in the playoff.
It's always fun to talk to Luke Laux because he is such a forthright, straight shooter. What were your thoughts on his thoughts regarding NIL, revenue sharing, rule enforcement? I know you wrote an article expressly noting these things, but for my audience listening now who maybe didn't see that on warchant.com, what were your thoughts on what Luke Laux had to say?
Yeah, I thought Luke was really good, and he's always very good.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sharp guy, but he, I thought that, we've talked about the College Sports Commission, the CSC, which is supposed to be enforcing all these, the House committee,
mm-hmm.
I guess the rules as far as revenue sharing, and he acknowledged the fact that there's a lot of schools spending a whole lot more money on their rosters than Florida State is, and there's players that he was not able to even really recruit effectively because they're just out of their price range. But the thing I like about Luke is he's also, he's basically taking the mindset of, okay, well, I've got to figure it out. I've got to figure out a way to get things done. And so, we've written about some of the things he did, the trip to Slovakia to try to get, the guy from Colorado and some of the things he's done. But, there's no limit to how excited he is about this basketball team. And I think one of the things that kind of came through from listening to him talk was you really see kind of the vision he has. I think Luke Laux sees this as a kind of an escalator. It's not an elevator; it's probably an escalator. Like he's taking gradual steps. This year's NIL budget is much larger than last year's NIL budget. I think he thinks that if they have success, he'll be able to go get more money for the following year's budget. And he has big goals. I mean, he wants to, he envisions Florida State basketball being on that big stage with the elite basketball programs. I really believe he thinks that's where he ultimately can get. The question is, how long does it take? But I, again, every time you walk away from talking to Luke Laux, you realize he has a vision to not just have a good team or a good season, but he's trying to build something at Florida State. And I think he sees the vision for how that's going to happen.
I like that he was honest that he doesn't like the tournament expansion, but admitted that if he were a bubble team and he got in because it has been expanded, he'd take it. He gets it, But he's at least honest in a way that a lot of coaches aren't. They'll tell you all the great things about a tournament expanding, and he's like, no, I prefer it to be hard to get into, but hey, if it benefits us, great. Any other lasting impressions before we sign off and I let you get back to driving?
Yeah, not really, man. I think it is going to be interesting to see what happens with this playoff stuff because, the SEC clearly, they don't want to go past 16. It sounds like ESPN, that was kind of a little bit of news.
Mm-hmm.
Admitted that the ESPN wants them to stay at 12 or go up to 16 at most. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What I don't know is, does that open up things for other partners, for other television partners? And I'm a strong believer, and I think most people are, that, the more competition there is in the TV space for college football, the better.
Yep.
ESPN having a monopoly is probably not in anybody's best interest, certainly not FSU's best interest. So I do think, while FSU is not in the playoff radar right now, I do think that's something to really pay attention to because that's going to shape the sport, especially as we kind of go the bowl system is pretty much going away. The college playoff games, the conference playoff games are probably going to go away. This playoff decision-making process is really going to shape the sport. So even though FSU is not in the radar right now, I do think that's something we really have to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think it's going to have a massive impact. We have what we got right now, Ira, I think we both know, is a classic showdown between Fox and ESPN.
Right.
I mean, in essence, that's what you have here. Of course, Fox wants it because they want access, and ESPN's like, no, we don't need all this. we rule the day right now. So I think that's where we're at. Always appreciate it, brother. Be well.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yeah, take care. That's Ira Shafel, warchant.com, of course. Also famously of Seminole Headlines. And on the wildly popular Jeff Cameron show for now like almost 20 years.
Makes you wonder if Sankey actually believes in 16 or if he knows he has to toe the company line quite literally for 16.
That's exactly what he's doing.
You think he wants 24 as well?
No, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you caught Greg Sankey as well off the record, I got to say 16 because ESPN wants 16, but I'd rather have 24.